and into the next life with Drew and me and Matt Woodward. Okay, welcome to the Drew and Me podcast where we talk about movies, we talk about music, and we talk about whatever else we want to talk about. Today we're joined by Philadelphia comedian Matt Woodward.
Well,
Hey Matt, welcome to the show.
thank you.
Um, so if you had to pick an all-time favorite song, what would that be?
I think my favorite would be Scary Monsters and Super Creeps by David Bowie.
That's a good choice.
Yeah, from the album of the same name.
Um,
He did it like right after the Berlin trilogy and right before Let's Dance. That was a good album overall.
nice. Yeah, I'm actually not familiar with that song specifically, but if it's something David Bowie related, it's probably gonna be really good.
Yeah, like a lot of really good guitar work on the song.
Was it one of his later albums or one of his
It was in like
earlier?
1980, 81.
Hmm. So it would be after Stardust.
Say again?
It would be after Ziggy Stardust, the Man from
Yeah, it'd
Mars.
be after that, definitely.
Hmm.
A fun fact
Nice.
about David Bowie, his albums he did with Tin Machine in the 90s, those were the prequels to the Berlin trilogy.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's
Um,
more of a joke about the quality. I'm not sure like how like serious this is supposed to be. I thought it was working a joke. Yeah, it's built me as a comedian.
um, what specifically about like the Berlin Trilogy album do you really like?
Well, there were three of them. There was Heroes, Low, and Lodger. I'd say Low is probably my favorite, followed by Heroes. I don't think I've listened to Lodger in its entirety just yet. Heroes, of course, have the song Heroes, We Can Be Heroes, which is another one of my favorites of Bowie.
Yeah. Heroes like the song I think is incredible. I think it's
Yeah,
like a really good anthem. I think it's really big. Um, and I think it's very heartfelt and has a lot of soul.
yeah.
Um,
It just sounds like had these songs like that. They also had like more like downbeat stuff too.
hmm,
Mm.
is would that still be from the Berlin trilogy?
Yeah, well, Scary Monsters wasn't part of the Berlin trilogy; it came right after, which was what we were
Hmm,
originally talking about.
hmm. Um, would you recommend Scary Monsters first?
I guess it depends, like what you know about Bowie so far, like what songs of him you're familiar with.
Okay.
Because a lot of people know like Let's Dance or like the Ziggy Stardust album, as you said.
Yeah. Um,
I feel like Scary Monsters would be a good entry point to the rest of his discography. Of course, he
hmm.
does also do like a lot of good stuff later in his career, like his like last album before he died, Black Star.
Yo, I have to check that one out. I'm not too familiar with that one. Uh,
Well, do you want to go over some of my other favorite
Yeah.
songs from other artists?
Yeah, sure.
Another one I think is a favorite is "I Am the Walrus" by the Beatles.
Mm.
Especially if you
Um,
like only know like Beatles from their early stuff, or something like "Let It Be." This is like really like one of their like weirder songs.
uh,
A lot of like a lot of like different audio effects, different like ways of recording something. Kind of like the studio was one of the instruments, let's say. That was off of Magical Mystery Tour, which was right before Sergeant Pepper's.
yeah, I forget that Magical Mystery was before Sergeant Pepper's. I thought it was after that, but
Oh yeah, it's like right before. I think same year actually.
I got you. Yeah, I feel like that's around the time that the Beatles were kind of
It's getting weird.
experimenting
Yeah,
with a lot
became
of
like
different
a
things.
studio band almost entirely. Like they stopped touring.
Um, yeah, like the stuff they were able to do in the studio with Magical Mystery and Sergeant Pepper's were pretty good. I guess Lucy in the Sky was
Yeah, that was a good
Magical
one.
Mystery, right?
I thought it was Sergeant Pepper's. I'm not sure though. Might be Magical Mystery Tour. Yeah, I don't think it's on Sergeant Pepper's at least.
Yeah.
Sergeant Pepper's had a
Um,
day in the life, like the final song, which is also a really good one. And the orchestra, piano chord at the end.
yeah. Daniel is probably one of my all-time favorites. I think it's a very well-constructed song, and
Yeah.
it feels like a very complete song.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like way above like the rest of the album was still pretty good, but that was like even way above all the other songs on the album.
yeah, 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 I agree. Like the sophistication and the care that went into like the verses and then the chorus, and it kind of like it's kind
It's
of
feel like
like
it's kind of
Bohemian
like the
Rhapsody, but
sweetest
by like
songs because they
Queen,
all like
it's very
mesh
sophisticated.
together. Like John
Yeah,
Lennon, how like his song Paul McCartney had the second verse was just like totally different from the first, and
yeah. Um, I feel like that was like a really good fusion of their talents. Um, and so was like the Sergeant Pepper album in general. I've listened to that one more than Magical Mystery. I'll have to listen to Mystery more.
okay.
Um, let's see.
Uh,
Is Paperback Writer, is that from?
I think that was like a single from before that. I'm not
Hmm,
sure if it was on a proper album, but it was definitely before Magical Mystery Tour.
yeah, I got you. And
This may be like
uh,
Revolver era when they started writing about things other than love. That's the thing. Like the
that's
first
a
like
good
several
album. I like
albums,
that
like
album.
most of what they did was just about love, attraction, relationships.
Hmm,
And Revolver opened with Taxman and started branching out.
that's a good one. I think George wrote
George
Taxman.
wrote it, yeah.
Nice. Um, and Goodbye Hello is on Magical Mystery, right? You say goodbye, I
I'm
say
not
hello.
sure which album that's on exactly, but it is seemed like a mid period to later the Beatles piece.
Mm,
I'll have to like check the discography.
nice.
And
All right,
I had
so
a
we
couple
got
other
some.
songs I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Like how many songs do people usually discuss? Like You said five, right?
Usually like five.
Yeah. Getting more modern, I'd say another song that's a favorite of mine would be Janelle Monáe, Dance Apocalyptic. More obscure than the other songs I mentioned. It's
Um,
like very upbeat, very catchy. Makes you wonder why it wasn't a bigger hit.
yeah, I'll have to check that one out. I'm also not like s- super familiar with Janelle Monáe, but I think I've heard a few of her songs.
Yeah, her that was from her album Electric Lady, which I feel is probably her best.
Mm, um, yeah, gotcha. Um, what about that song do you really like? Like, is there a particular part of it that really like draws you in? Do you feel like it's really
Even
well
from the beginning,
produced?
like, there's like an acoustic guitar riff, and like they're like singing the title. Like, from the beginning, it's like relentlessly catchy and upbeat.
Nice. Yeah.
She's done a couple albums since then. I haven't listened to those in their entirely, but I have heard a couple songs from them, and I like those songs too.
Cool. I think she also was featured on the Fun song,
We Are Young.
We Are Young, yeah.
Yeah,
That, that was good. I like that.
yeah. As far as fun, I like their songs some nights better, I would say. That was Jack Antonoff's band, right? He's like produced other stuff. He's on Bleachers.
Yeah. He writes like for Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I thought it was mainly producer, but I guess he does songwriting too for other artists.
He's a good writer.
Yeah, he's good producing too. Like he produced like one of Lord's albums, Melodrama.
Hmm. Nice. Like, oh, wait. Which band is he from originally?
I guess he was. I think before Fun, he was in a different band. I forget what that band was called, but they did like a couple albums in like early mid 2000s.
Hmm. Um,
I guess Fun was like beginning of the 2010s.
yeah, I'll have to check out more on Fun and Willie uh Willie Pictures.
Yeah, definitely check out Janelle Monáe's albums too.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I would
Nice.
say as far as stuff that came out this century, Umbrella by Rihanna, one of my favorite of
Yeah, it's a good
hers.
one.
I feel she has like some good songs. She has some like songs that aren't necessarily as good, but Rihanna, like Umbrella, is definitely, I'd say in my opinion, her best.
Yeah. Um, um, Forget the title. It might be Only Girl or
Only girl in the world.
Only Girl in the World.
I think that was like later on. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like she's done like a lot of albums in a relatively short span of time. She's had has like a
Yeah.
lot of hits. I think like 14 number one hits.
Wow.
Yeah.
Um, I think Pond Replay was like
Is
her
that one of
first
her earlier
song.
ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she did SOS,
Yeah, I think that was like her first hit.
and that was really popular.
Yeah, sampled Soft
And
Cell, Seen It Love.
I know that Umbrella did very well in the UK. I know that it was number one in Great Britain for
I think
like
it was one number one in the US too, like a first number one.
a few weeks. Yeah. Um, yeah. She, like
Yeah,
I think
she's
she's
like
definitely like a really good artist.
yeah, she's like branched out into like a lot of business stuff too. Not sure what her net worth is, but I guess it's like maybe close to a billion.
Wow.
Yeah, it's probably more.
Um,
I'd say it's probably like 500 million. I'd have to check, but it's definitely she's one of the higher earning artists with her like various business ventures.
yeah, I know that
Which is the thing about
she.
Taylor Swift, she's like worth over a billion, but it's like that's all from her songs. Like other like you think like Jimmy Buffett, Jay Z, who became billionaires, like they branched out into business ventures. Jay Z owns
Yeah,
the Brooklyn Nets. Jimmy Buffett has Margaritaville, had Margaritaville.
yeah. Um, Jimmy
Because
Buffett
Margaritaville came,
actually
Margaritaville came more than just a
he
restaurant.
died
I think it was like,
recently. Actually.
yeah, he did. There was a posthumous album he did came out like right after he died. I
Mm.
haven't checked it out. As I said, I'm not like really big into Jimmy Buffett. I guess a lot of people are. Are you big into
Mm.
Buffett?
Um, just kind of the hits, just kind of like Cheeseburger in Paradise and Margaritaville. Um,
Mm.
I
Have you
feel
ever
like
had
he's an
anyone
artist.
think the song "Escape" from River Holmes, the Pina Colada song? Did you ever have anyone think that was Jimmy Buffett?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because they're like a lot of songs like, are often like mistaken as being done by different artists.
Mm.
Mm. I think it must be like
Well,
really terrible. Like when there's like an artist who has like one song everyone knows, they think it was like another artist that did it. Like, you know the song "Fight Song," Rachel Pillen.
yeah.
Yeah, like everyone thinks that was
Platinum.
Katy Perry. That's the only song of hers that only Rachel Pillen's song that most people know.
Yeah. And I feel like that song like still gets played on the radio and things like
Yeah,
that. It's definitely like made in like the Katy Perry type of mold.
yeah.
Like it sounds like that kind of pop song. Um, that's kind of a shame for the artist that people confuse it, but
Mm.
um,
And with an artist that has like plenty of hits of her own anyway. Katy Perry has enough popular songs that
yeah, and I feel like kind of like Rihanna, Katy Perry has a really good kind of like collection of albums.
yeah.
Um,
I feel like Rihanna's is probably a little more like solid. I feel like Katy Perry's done like one album in the past couple of years, and she's a judge on American Idol now.
mm, yeah, um, like, would you say is there like would there be like a Katy Perry song you really like?
I'd say Teenage Dream is probably my favorite of hers, but
Yeah, uh, Teenage Dream is really good. I might like Friday Nights slightly more.
yeah.
Um, there's another song that she does. It's not Hot and Cold, but there, I can never think of the title. But she does like another one that's really good.
Like what's one of the lyrics?
It's like coming of my life, every like I think it has life in it. Um, yeah, I can just kind of like think about the tune. Um,
Okay.
it was definitely earlier. It was like kind of in the middle.
Okay. Now going back in time again, I want to talk about another one of my favorite songs, "The Carpet Crawlers" by Genesis. That was like "Lamb Lies Down" at Broadway, which was the last one with Peter Gabriel. That's like really that's a really good like atmosphere to that song. Like Brian Eno produced the album. He's like probably one of my all-time favorite producers.
Nice. The
He
more
has a very like
Genesis I hear,
ethereal,
the more
beautiful
I like
sound.
it. Mm. Um, so do you prefer Genesis with like Peter Gabriel? Like, do you think they were a stronger group?
I think like I feel like I feel like a better division would be from the beginning to Wind and Wuthering. Like the first few albums with Phil Collins are still very prog rock. I feel like a lot of people forget that.
Mm.
I feel like when Steve Hackett left and then they did like Fall You, Fall Me, that's when they started transitioning to a more pop sound.
Mm. Um,
So like the Trick of the Tail and Wind and Wuthering with that Phil Collins only was still very prog rock. I feel like those albums are definitely worth listening to. And of course, I
yeah,
feel like
like definitely, yeah, like definitely, like if you look at like the earlier stuff was a lot more proggy,
yeah,
and
I feel like the stuff he did in the '80s. I don't think it was as good, but I feel like Phil Collins sang it better than most people could have. Still had like a lot of good songs in the like, '80s and on.
yeah,
Like most of my top 10
um,
Genesis songs would probably be from the '70s.
mm.
But there's like a lot of like '80s stuff I can recommend too.
Were there like, is there an individual song, or like would there be two individual songs
But from the
that
'80s,
you really
I'd
like that
probably say
Genesis did?
probably my two favorite from the '80s would be "Mama" and "It's Gonna Get Better," which were from the same album, their self-titled 1983 one. Those were the first and the last track on that album. I think "Mama" has this really like really ominous atmosphere. It's gonna get better. Is definitely a deeper cut, but I feel it has a good atmosphere to itself too.
Mm. Um, and it's it's gonna get better is the last song.
Last song on their eponymous album in the 1983. And I
And
feel
Peter Gabriel had already left the band at
he
that
had already
point.
left the band. He left after the Lamb Lands down on Broadway. And the one right they did right before that, "Selling Healing by the Pound," is also great. I like Lamb Lies Down Broadway better because it's like more sprawling and I feel Brian Eno's production was great. Production work was great on it.
Let's see.
Like
So
I like long
and
like double albums if the material is good enough. Because a lot of times when an artist does like a double album, it's just one album with a good song stretched out on two albums.
like sometimes it does come down to producers. Like I guess Brian Eno, he'd later produce albums for
David
U2 and
Byrne.
Coldplay, right?
Yeah, you did Viva La Vida. But I guess he still records stuff too. He also
Yeah, I
produced
think
for
so.
David Bowie as well. He did Berlin Trilogy. Or at least I think at least one of the Berlin Trilogy albums.
Would there be one more song or album that you want to talk about, Matt?
I'd say Outcast B.O.B. Bombs Over Baghdad from Stankonia. That's
Was
definitely
that the one
probably my
with?
favorite. That's the album that had Miss Jackson on it.
So that was the Miss Jackson that came that predated. Hey, right?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I was later. Like their next album, which was also a double album. You know, they
Yeah.
after they like one more album after that, and then they split up. Andre 3000 did an album with flute music recently, like late last year. I think I heard a track from that.
Yeah, I actually
Definitely
got
like unexpected from him, but at the same time, it works on its own. So I'm like, oh, this is so unexpected. I have to listen to it, but I feel like the song I heard from the album of flute music stand on its own. It's like really good. And all the titles on the album are like really long.
um there's one that's like super delicious, right? Or something like that.
Which album?
Um think it's from B.O.B. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
B.O.B. was like Stankonia. I like B.O.B. because it's like really, really fast paced and relentless. He just keeps on going.
Mm. Um yeah, I agree that I
And I feel
think
like
that
even if the
B.O.B.
lyrical
is a
content,
stronger album.
the lyrical content, you like listen to it and figure, oh, these people they like feel like they're like predicting the future, kind of, even though the song doesn't really. I guess a lot of people feel like the song's called "Bombs Over Baghdad" and it was released a couple of years before the invasion of Iraq.
I'm guessing those songs were later.
But B.O.B. was like 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um nice. Would you say they're more rap infused? Like there's
Yeah, they're
more,
definitely a hip hop band. Although the guys on Hey Ya, they did singing too.
yeah.
I feel like I think like that album from Hey Ya was on. It was a double album, but I feel like the album split between Big Boy and Andre 3000. So it's kind of like two solo albums from each artist.
Yeah.
At least that's my impression. I haven't listened to the whole thing, but Hey Ya was Andre 3000. I like the way you move, which is also from that set of records with Big Boy.
That song I remember was really popular. Like when I was in like middle school, that song was really popular.
And that was like, I think the song was like 10th grade for me.
Mm. Um, I'd say Roses is probably my all-time
Yeah,
favorite.
yeah, that was the same album.
Yeah. Um, a few years ago, I actually got to see them perform live, and that was really cool. Like
Where was that at?
they they do a cool live show. I think it was at the Firefly Festival in Delaware, and
Yeah, I've never been to a music festival. That's like something I want to confess. Like, I don't think yeah, it's something I might want to do, but I've never done it. Like I
yeah,
don't,
like they're usually a lot of fun.
yeah.
Um,
But you know, like I do music too. Like I like play piano, I write songs, I perform them.
oh, so you do that?
Yeah, yeah, it's separate from the comedy though. I haven't recorded anything yet, but it's definitely something I want to do. Let's keep putting it off. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm putting it off because it's something I want to like. I want to do with like other musicians. I want to like have like a band when I go into the studio and record it. But for the most part, I'm just like doing everything myself at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I play some piano. I'm kind of like learning how, how to play guitar, but I'd say I'm not like professional at it yet.
Yeah, I know some guitar chords, although I've never like performed playing the guitar.
Yeah. Um, yeah, definitely like writing original music is really fun.
Yeah, I feel like I
It's
have
good
an
fun.
easier time like doing my own songs than doing a cover.
Yeah. Um,
And I have a drum machine too, so I like play the songs to a beat I program to the machine.
nice.
Yeah, it was a pretty novel setup. Like
Yeah, I feel like
but I definitely want to
th
perform with other musicians like eventually later
th
on.
that adds a good layer. Yeah. Um, so you do piano, you have the drum machine.
Yeah,
I guess would you be looking for a guitar player?
guitar player, drummer.
Mm. Yeah. Well, let me know how that goes.
Yeah, and I was going to ask. Let's see. Is there a song like you would recommend me?
Um, let's see. Probably my favorite group right now would be the Beach Boys.
Yeah, yeah, I like their like pet sounds. I feel most of those things people like to say like, pet sounds like far away above the rest of their albums. They're like other like 60s and some of their 70s albums have some good stuff too. Like there was a song they did in the early 70s called Sail on Sailor that I really like.
mm, um, they've one album. I think it's called Wild Honey. That's
I've heard of
where
that one.
uh, Carl actually sings a lot more songs on lead, and
Yeah. He was the first of
he,
the Wilson brothers passed away, right? Like he died in the 70s. There's Carl and Dennis passed away. One of them died in the 90s.
uh, Carl lived into the 90s. He died in
Yeah,
like 97, I think.
yeah.
Dennis died in the 80s, I think.
I heard like Brian Wilson, he's like coming down with dementia, so he's put in conservatorship. So I read that recently. But he was like performing even recently though.
Yeah. Um,
Though not as the Beach Boys.
no, he kind of does his own stuff.
Yeah.
I think Bruce and Mike are the ones that still perform as the Beach
Yeah.
Boys.
Al Jardine performs with Brian Wilson too.
Yeah.
They did a reunion like 10 years ago where they're like playing arenas and they did a new album. That's why God made the radio.
Mm.
Yeah. But I feel at this point,
Um,
like, the Beach Boys are pretty much sort of their own tribute act. I feel.
yeah, they do have like quite a few albums to play though. So,
Yeah.
um, I definitely need to listen to Smile more.
That was one. It was like the other one. Brian Wilson went crazy trying to record. Right. Finally
Yeah,
came out like 2004.
yeah.
Have you read his memoir? I Am Brian Wilson.
Um, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah. I picked it up and read it. It was a. It feels pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, it came
I
out.
think
You see, you know the movie Love and Mercy, right? It came out around that time, a little after. Have you seen Love and Mercy?
uh, yeah. I saw
It's
Love and
something I
Mercy.
want
That
to get
was
around to doing.
great.
Yeah, I want to get around to doing it, but I haven't. I've heard it's like really good.
Um, I also have the Michael biography, and That's really interesting. It's definitely written differently than the Brian Wilson one.
Yeah,
It's kind of more linear. I feel like Brian jumps around more in his.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a good one to check out. Yeah, I think the movie Love and Mercy is terrific. The song Love and Mercy in particular, I think is awesome.
That was for one of Brian Wilson's solo records.
Yeah. Um, and he- he's just a really talented like
yeah,
composer, and he can sing like really well. I'm not sure if he can still do the high notes, but
I'm pretty sure. I'm
he,
pretty sure he has someone else do that.
yeah, he used to have a really good range.
But a lot of like
Yeah.
the older like bands that are still around. They can't hit the high notes, so they make up for it by transposing the song to a lower key. I feel like that's something I don't like because I feel sounds definitely obviously sounds different. Like some people think like the key you play a song on makes a difference on the final sound. Some people don't. I feel like it does make a difference, especially when you've like heard a song in one key for a long time.
Um, However, I feel like when you see artists like Elton John
He
will like
has like
do
throat
songs a lot
surgery.
lower, I can see that.
Yeah, he had throat surgery, and he's so like he has like backing singers at high notes now.
Yeah.
He's still
Um.
doing his final tour.
Uh. He tours in Las Vegas a lot. Like
Yeah,
he really likes the Strip, and he really likes California and Las Vegas. So
where's he played Vegas?
I think like Caesar's Palace or something like that,
Okay,
or um, he kind of tours around. Like I think he does a lot of the resorts. Um, yeah, like he loves California. He loves Las Vegas. He doesn't really come to the East Coast that much.
okay. Speaking of like older like touring artists, one mystery to me is like why Bob Dylan isn't playing bigger rooms. Like last time he was in Philadelphia, he was at the Fillmore. Like we compare like Rolling Stones or Paul McCartney, where they're playing stadiums still.
Mm. Yeah, I
Is
feel
that like a
like Paul
personal choice?
McCartney will
Or
always be able to do stadiums.
yeah, I feel like Bob Dylan's like constantly touring though. It's actually
Yeah.
called the Never Ending Tour. I think we put an album with 20